Yes, I am here in my capacity as the 10th chair of the Legal Services Corporation. Now, LSC, you probably know, is the single largest funder of civil legal aid for low-income Americans in the nation. LSC was founded in 1974 as one of the last acts of the Nixon administration to help provide equal access to the system of justice and to provide high-quality legal assistance to those who would otherwise be unable to afford adequate legal counsel. Well, LSC is headed by a bipartisan board of directors, whose 11 members are appointed by the President and confirmed by the Senate. Our board was confirmed in 2010 and then again in 2014. While funded largely by Congress, LSC distributes more than 93% of its federal appropriation to 133 independent legal aid organizations with 800 offices in every state and territory, and averaging about 37% of those grantees' funding. LSC supports 3 outstanding legal aid organizations in Illinois: Land of Lincoln Legal Assistance Foundation, which serves the southern half of the state; Prairie State Legal Services in the northern part; and LAF here in Chicago. Folks, over 2 million people are eligible in our state for LSC-funded legal aid because they live in households with annual incomes at or below 125% of the federal poverty guideline. These individuals and families face a wide variety of legal problems: domestic violence, child custody and support, where the percentage of folks are under 20% of the population, between 15 and 20, or above 20 in poverty. Anyway, these individuals and families face a wide variety of legal problems: domestic violence, child custody and support, veterans and others seeking assistance with the denial of benefits they're entitled to, seniors who are victims of scams or other abuse, wrongful evictions, mortgage foreclosures, and, as we've all seen in the past year, claims involving natural disasters. This vital work is drastically underfunded. To put LSC's current appropriation into perspective, the amount that can be used to fund the day-to-day operations of these legal aid programs all across the country is not much more than what Americans spend every year on Halloween costumes for their pets. And resulting lack of resources, of course, our grantees across the country are forced to turn away so many qualified individuals. This shortfall between the civil legal needs of low-income Americans and the resources available to address these needs, what we call the justice gap. And last June, LSC issued the justice gap, measuring the unmet civil legal needs of low-income Americans. And that new report, prepared in conjunction with NORC at the University of Chicago, documents the volume of civil legal needs faced by low-income Americans. Among its findings, 71% of low-income households experienced at least one civil legal problem in the past year. 86% of the civil legal problems faced by low-income Americans in a given year receive inadequate or no legal help. And in 2017, low-income Americans will seek legal aid from LSC-funded organizations for an estimated 1.7 million problems. And depending on where they live in the country, they will receive only limited or no help for more than half of those problems because of scarce resources. Another measure of the justice gap is the millions of unrepresented low-income litigants each year appearing in our nation's courts. The National Center for State Courts estimates that in almost 75% of civil cases in state courts, one or both parties are unrepresented. And in many states, more than 90% of tenants facing eviction have no lawyer. And more than 90% of parents in child support cases are unrepresented. The bottom line, far too many of our nation's most vulnerable citizens are being left out of our civil justice system to fend for themselves or their families. Well, to narrow this justice gap, LSC and its grantees are using a wide variety of innovative strategies. Technology can stretch limited resources for legal aid providers in many ways, including allowing them to automate processes that lawyers used to handle, develop user-friendly form preparation assistance for the unrepresented, and support lawyers taking on pro bono cases in unfamiliar areas of law. LSC's TIG, that is Technology Initiative Grants Program, has played a major role in developing these and other innovations since it was founded in 2000. During this period, TIG has funded more than 700 projects across the country, totaling more than $61 million. And in Illinois, the very highly regarded legal information website, Illinois Legal Aid Online, ILEO, incidentally, they lead the nation, has used TIG funding to improve its site in a number of ways, including funding a nationally recognized team of data scientists to model complex sets of website data and better predict how certain users would interact with the website and what type of additional assistance they might require. TIG funding also supported projects in Illinois to integrate SMS texting for legal aid clients into the statewide legal services website, and a system using SharePoint Online that allows staff and supporters to more easily collaborate on projects. Well, providing helpful information and assistance compatible with cell phones is particularly important, as we now know that 95% of those qualified for assistance have cell phones, and 75% of them are smartphones. Well, for the past 18 years, LSC has convened the only national conference focused exclusively on the use of technology to address the civil legal needs of low-income Americans. Participants typically include technology experts, software developers, leading academics, legal aid staff members, many of our presenters here today, lawyers from a variety of other settings. The first such conference in 2000 was attended by 30 folks. Last year, 400, we had to turn people away. In 2013, LSC convened the second ever Legal Aid Technology Summit. And this summit resulted in a highly acclaimed blueprint for using innovative technology to transform the delivery of civil legal services and setting an ambitious goal to provide all low-income Americans with, quote, some form of effective assistance with their essential civil legal needs. And that objective was adopted as an aspirational goal by the Conference of Chief Justices and the Conference of State Court Administrators in 2015. LSC is now partnered with Microsoft and Pro Bono Net in an effort to develop an online exciting portal project. This will provide statewide access to portals to direct individuals to the most appropriate form of civil legal assistance. Now, these portals will provide a single statewide point of access for people seeking help with civil legal matters. As studies have shown, many individuals do not recognize that their problem is a legal one. The portals will hopefully simplify and expand access to those folks and rationalize the allocation of available resources to match their needs. Well, Hawaii and Alaska have been chosen to develop the pilot portals for this project, and work is well underway with a rollout early next year. And if successful, you're going to see this portal project start to come up across the country. LSC has also launched initiatives to promote and enhance pro bono. Forming a 60-person national pro bono task force with the support of DLA Piper, their comprehensive report issued 6 years ago called for a number of improvements in our pro bono system, including revising LSC's own private attorney involvement regulations to make it easier for non-lawyers, law students, paraprofessionals to provide pro bono service. The task force also called for creation of a pro bono innovation fund to encourage new and robust pro bono efforts and partnerships. First funded in 2014 by Congress, now that fund has invested $14.5 million in 52 different projects in 28 states. Here in Illinois, that funding supported Prairie State's creation of an e-learning curriculum for volunteer attorneys statewide, and another project to strengthen online pro bono recruitment. And it supported LAF's partnership with the Center for Disability and Elder Law to adapt pro bono workshops to help low-income seniors access important services, including powers of attorney. Well, LSC also launched in 2014 a targeted effort to modestly raise private funds complementing LSC's congressional appropriation to support new initiatives. Many law firms and businesses in this room have been supportive of this effort, for which we're very grateful. Among the initiatives, establishing a rural summer legal corps, deploying law students over the summer to serve rural America where there are so few lawyers, developing a legal aid curriculum for public librarians, evaluating and upgrading the effectiveness of statewide websites, launching special task forces on civil legal aid and natural disasters, being supported by the Latham firm, another one on the opioid crisis being supported by my firm. LSC has encouraged teamwork on the federal level, assisting in the establishment of the Congressional Access to Civil Legal Services Caucus, founded in 2015 by Democratic Representative Joe Kennedy of Massachusetts, Republican Susan Brooks of Indiana, and joined by Representatives Fred Upton and Debbie Dingell of Michigan, who also serve now as co-chairs. They are forceful advocates in our Congress for legal services. When we came into office 8 years ago, we realized the legal aid community was doing a great job of talking to itself about the gravity of the crisis in access to justice. We had to open the doors and windows and let the profession and beyond know what was happening. So, in April 2012, LSC formally kicked off a national dialogue on the crisis at a forum co-hosted with the White House. We have continued to hold forums every year in Washington since, and each of our quarterly meetings across the country. Such forums have included leaders from government, law, justices from many other states, business, philanthropic communities, and this broader focus continues with another initiative, the LSC Leaders Council. Comprised of leaders in various fields, the Leaders Council is helping raise awareness of LSC and its grantees' essential work. Former Bush White House counsel Harriet Miers and Merck CEO Ken Frazier are its co-chairs. Members include Michigan football coach and our former Bears quarterback, Jim Harbaugh, former attorneys general, and wait till you read that quote. Former Attorney General Eric Holder and Dick Thornburg, former Senator Bob Dole, baseball greats Hank Aaron, Bud Selig, author John Grisham, business leaders such as Microsoft President Brad Smith, and Carlyle Group Executive Chairman David Rubenstein. There are a number of leaders from Illinois who are also on the council. I'll get in trouble if I start naming them all. But at the release of the Justice Gap report on Capitol Hill last June, Coach Harbaugh was there, and he got up and he said, you know, folks, you know what this is about? It's fairness on a football team that is probably the most important thing we strive towards. You may not treat everybody exactly the same, but you want to be fair to everybody on the team. It would be like only giving 20% of the team's helmets. The rest of the team doesn't get a helmet. You don't get protection. Run out there and play the game without a helmet, and we'll see what happens. Are we going to sit here and allow this crisis to grow and threaten our democracy? Or are we going to get to work in our time and resolve to work to close our country's justice gap by the nation's 250th birthday in 2026? Future generations of Americans and citizens of this great state are counting on all of us. We have no choice but to succeed in this effort. Thank you very much.